What's up everybody, this is Nick from Rock and Roll Customs. Bring you this video today talking about these twin cams and these spring tensioners that fail in the 99 to 06 Harley models. This video, there's a million out there. If you're watching this one, you've seen all the other ones just like we did to learn how to repair these things. The difference with this video is we're going to do this on a budget. We're going to replace the spring tensioners with stock spring tensioners. You know, if you don't have the money for a $600–800 fueling or S&S upgrade and new push rods, adjustable quickie push rods, or any of that kind of stuff, this is for the guy that needs to do it on a budget as cheap as possible just to get his bike back on the road. So I never owned a twin cam before, had Evos, shovels, all that crap. I get a 04 electric glide and start looking at twin cam stuff, and then I start seeing that these things had problems, so I'm already in the mix of it. And my buddy Willis here, he ended up with this 99 01 Road King, and same issue, so his went down first, so we got it fixed, and that's what the video is. So real quick, I'll let him talk about his bike.
Right, basically what we're looking at is we both have custom bikes that we ride, bar hop and that kind of thing, but we also wanted something that would ride smooth and comfortable if we want to take a passenger with us. So we both got the twin cams. This one right here I bought on the cheap. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I bought it for $3,800 when I bought it. Running driving Harley Davidson for $3,800 is a good deal. But I was aware of the twin cam issues, but I wasn't familiar with it. The motor seemed a little bit noisy when I thought, okay, not a big deal, we'll swap the tensioners out and get it done. When I took the cam cover off, all of the tensioner fell off on the floor. So I obviously had some pretty serious problems. Going in, like Nick said, we wanted to keep it on the cheap. I know to go with a gear drive and swap out cams and lifters is the best way to go. I did not want to put that much money into a bike that has 70,000 miles on it. This is just something to put around town. I'm not going to put a lot of miles on it. So I decided I wanted to go back with Harley parts and make it the way it was from the factory, but do it all right. So we ended up, if I had taken it to a dealership and had them swap it out, I'd have been looking anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. The way it sets, swapping out the chain, which was destroyed because of the tensioners, both the guide and the primary tensioner and the backup tensioner and the complete gear set, I've got about $350 in it. I spent $100 that I wasn't planning on. I bought new inner cam bearings because apparently the inner cam bearings fail about as often as the tensioners do. So I had to swap them out. To buy the tool to pull it out and press it back in was going to be anywhere from $80 to $100. The dealership, I just rolled it down there to them. They swapped them out for me, charged me $100, and they were about $10 each. So if you make this swap, go ahead and swap the tensioners and the bearings, because the bearing upgrade really makes a difference as well. So that's where we're at. One thing I do want to tell you though is neither one of us are Harley certified mechanics, and we're not telling you this is the best way to do it. And I'm sure when mechanics look at this, they're going to say, all right, there's a mistake, they should have done this, they should have done that. We don't claim to be professionals. We're just old wrench turners trying to save a buck just like all of you are. I hope this video helps. You'll see some of the things that we did, and you'll probably catch some of the mistakes we made at the same time, but it works. I took it out yesterday, put 30 miles on it. It runs good, drives good, everything's golden. So I don't know what's going to happen 150 miles down the road, but for right now, we've got it fixed. It's quiet, it's doing good, and this is what we did.
So a couple things that we had to watch several different videos out there to put this all together, that we did all in this one video that the other ones don't kind of tell you. On the 99 to 06, you have to, if you want to do it the way these other videos do, press out your cams and change out everything, your tensioners, and then press them back in with the tensioner on there. So we wanted to do that without that. So I bought this tool, and it's in the video, you'll see it. Bought the tool off of eBay that basically puts all the tension on the tensioner, and you're able to pull it right off without pressing your cams out, put it back in the exact same way, real quick tool. So those are available out there online everywhere, eBay, like I said, that's where I got it. And I never, in any of these videos, I never saw people pulling the C-clips off of the tensioners. That's something that didn't come with the tensioners when he bought them. It didn't come with the overall gasket kit, because he came out of the rockers with his push rods. So that's one thing to make sure you have that on hand, because it cost us a day. We didn't have those. Parts store didn't have them. He had to go down to the dealership. They were too thick at the parts store, so we had to get those. And those were just, you know, two of the things that I didn't see in anybody else's videos that we wanted to see, or that we wanted to do here. and save some time and some expense. So that's it. Let's get into the video.
Well, one last thing before we move on. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you'll notice in this video we had the gas tank off. I had all the tins off because I was painting them anyway. But if you were going to swap out with the stock push rods, you're going to have to take the gas tank off just to get it out of your way so you can get to the rocker boxes. It wasn't that big of a deal. There's only 3 bolts, hold the gas tank on, drain the gas out. You can do that, it's easy. But that made life easier for us.
Yeah. Well, I'll stop during the video. There'll probably be some overdubs here and there, and some commentary, some subtitles or something if we forgot anything from here to there. So here we go, some home built garage Harley stuff.
Got an 01 Road King. It's fairly high mileage, 69,000 miles. The guy that I bought it from said the cam tensioners had been replaced, but the motor seemed very noisy to me. We decided to go ahead and pull the cam cover to check them anyway, and when we did, all of the tensioners fell out on the floor, including, you'll notice that the guide on this other side was completely gone. So honestly, I don't know how this motor kept from jumping time and coming apart, but it held together a little bit. I rode it, so I guess I'm lucky in that regard. There's a bunch of crumbs inside that chest from the cam tensioner that came apart on the outside, and you can see it's been rubbing against the chain. So the plan is we're going to go back Harley Davidson. We're going to use the stock HD cam tensioners. We're going to pull the rocker boxes and do it the way Harley did it. Now, I know you've all seen our video where you can cut the push rods and put in adjustable. I want to keep the stock push rods and keep it on the cheap as much as I can. Got a complete gasket set, so while we're going in, we're going to replace all the gaskets on the top end that we have. And we're ready to get started. So I've already took the tensioners off of the tubes for the lifters, and already taken the bolts out of the rocker boxes. So what we're going to do first is we will take the rockers loose so we can get the push rods out, get the cam lifters raised up or replaced depending on which direction I decide to go as I get there, and we'll get started. That the push rods are different lengths, so make sure you keep them separate. One of the tricks I learned a long time ago was just keep everything separate and mark them. It makes life a lot easier. Just get you a workbench, or in my quick case, I took my wife's ironing board, I covered it over in paper, and then I write down, keep everything rear and front, and keep them marked so you know exactly where everything is. Like, for example, these lifter tubes, I know this was the, on this one it would be the exhaust. So just mark there, and then that one is intake, and keep them separate so they go right back in the same tubes they came out of. Okay, one of the things you don't have to do is I am pulling the lifter blocks or tappet box, and I'm going to pull the lifters out because I want to replace this gasket while I've got it all apart. It's crazy to go this far into it and not replace a 50-cent gasket. One of the things I did get is I got the complete gasket kit from James. When you're doing this, always go with a good quality gasket, because you can buy the cheap aftermarket junk and it'll work, but you're going to be going right back into it again later. So while I got this all apart this far, I figured it's a good time to go ahead and replace those as well, and it gives me a chance to look at the lifters and make sure everything's rolling like the way it's supposed to, and just basically give it a look. I've got the gaskets anyway. One of the things you'll notice on your lifters, there's a guide pin and there'll be a piece of a gasket that goes across and it kind of holds it in place, but all that does is sit there. You'll notice also these lifters are a roller lifter, which means that rolls on the cam. So what you want to do is just take it, kind of roll it over, look for any burn spots or any flat spots. You'll also notice that there's slots in that. It only goes on one way, flats here and flats here. If you try to put it in at a different angle, it's not gonna go. So you gotta have those flats, and that's what keeps the lifter rolling straight on the cam. One of the things we didn't have to do on the back cylinder because it was already at top dead center, but we're not on the front cylinder. And what I'm talking about top dead center is you wanna take all the pressure off of the valve springs. And the way you do that is you would roll the motor around by turning the back wheel in 5th gear. And when you get to a point to where there's no pressure on either one of them, that means it's top dead center and all the pressure's off the springs. And the way you can tell you're there is, one, both lifter tubes need to be in the down position, or if you're watching the rocker box, they need to be in the up position. But you'll know you're there when you can turn the push rod without any tension. See, there's tension on both of those right now. I can't budge them. So go ahead and turn it, Ned. That there's no tension on the springs. Now when I take the rockers off, the first 2 bolts you want to take off are the 2 center. That's the vent tubes, and there's a little filter in there. You don't want to release the pressure on these and have all the strain on them. So take those out first, take the filter out. Then what I do on the rockers, I do it as an X pattern. I'll crack this one, crack that one, crack that one, and crack that one, and loosen them up so that you're not torquing that to warp it out of shape. On most videos, you just see them pulling that tensioner off. I don't know if it's on all Harley models or not, but on the 01 model, there's a C-clip, and you can see it right there. That C-clip sets in a groove, and you got to take that out of the groove before you can pull it off. And that's all there's to it. It's a part. All right, basically you'll see there's a timing mark here, and there's another one under this washer. When we take that off, there's a mark there, and there's a line on the case. You want all of those to line up when you go back together with it. This tool, you push in, and it is directional. It only fits 1 gear one way, but it goes in place, and what it does is it keeps those gears from rolling while you're taking it apart. Also, you notice on some of the other videos, they'll mark the outside of the chain so the chain goes on the same way. In this case, because that tensioner came apart and destroyed this chain, I'm replacing it, so it doesn't matter. Any other time you want to go back the same way because they wear in the same direction, they have the same marks, you want them to continue that way. back tension looks pretty good. In fact, it's hardly showing anywhere at all. Turn it around here at me. Oh yeah, it's good. Well, it's not bad. What about all that? Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
All right. So, some guys on some of these videos will home make a tool. This one's out there commercially made. You get it from V-Twin or eBay. That's where we got this one. Another guy out there, Holes Creek's making them. But it just makes this rear disassembly of this tensioner easier because you don't have to press your cams out. So that's what we wanted to avoid because we're going back stock with this one. So it's real simple. Ton of videos out there on it, but you just fit it on, insert it, squeeze the handle together, put the second little Allen bolt in the back, which just holds pressure on it. It is now tensioned up the spring on the tensioner, taking it off of the chain itself, and it pulls right off, and you're done. And the new one will be the opposite of this one. We'll clamp it down and slide it right back on, and we're ready. New tensioner installed. Gotta get a C-clip. It'll be ready to go back in.
Because we hyperextended out.
Yeah. The cam chest has been cleaned out. Any little pieces and parts that were laying in there got out. You got that trash.
Oh yeah, this is where the old tensioner came
There's
apart and
everything
just
came
grenaded. This is what was left of the guide. It's supposed to be on the other side. This was bouncing around inside that chest, so we're just really lucky that this motor didn't come apart. Okay, one of the things while you have it all apart, there's 3 O-rings that go in the chest cavity. They seal the oil pump. These things are like 25 cents, but they will cause you a world of trouble if you don't replace them. This is the one that goes on the oil pump. If you don't get that replaced, these dry and they compress and they won't get a good seal. If you don't have a good seal for your oil pump, what'll happen is oil pressure will fill up this chest cavity, and then you'll start developing a leak. It's very simple. It's just a straight up press in. You just push it in with your finger. And then make sure it goes in and seats all the way and bottoms out. You don't want to have it in there crooked. But that's it. And then maybe put a little oil on it. There's also 2 more right here. Just get you just a little hook and pull them out. It's very simple. But these things are very cheap, but it will cost you a bunch of problems if you don't fix them right. So spend the extra couple, $3 and do them up. Get them right. Also, I do recommend on these, go ahead and get HD. The dealership will have them for you, and I think it's just a little bit better quality than you're going to get anywhere else. The hole that's on the inside, that's what feeds the oil pressure for the lifters, take the slack out of your valves. That oil hole fills from the inboard side. Wow, there's a lot of tension on that. You got that video? This is the old chain, and you can feel burrs on it as you run your hands across it. So what we did with the new chain was took a 600 grit sandpaper, sanded it down, and then ran it over a buffer. So when you feel it, it feels like there's no drag, it's slick, and there's no burrs that will wear out that new tensioner.